Hey everyone, welcome back to All About April. In light of recent events, especially with the climate of our country, I have already discussed things regarding Nonfiction November. I'm actually going to tag that video at the end of this one just in case you missed it. However, I want to make sure that I am saying this on record. Books are political, okay? It does not matter if it is fiction or if it is nonfiction. They all tell a story, even if it's a romance story, even if it's fantasy, all right? So today, what I want to do is I want to highlight some fiction books that have a political sense attached to them, because I think that it is important for us to not just think of those books from a nonfiction perspective. You can learn from any kind of books, fiction or nonfiction. So that's what I'm going to deliver to you today, and I can't wait to share them with you. So I'm going to start off with these two books, The Girl with the Louding Voice and So I Roar by Abi Dare. So I've read this. You can see she's all tapped up. In book one, Adunni is trying to get an education, and that is something that she is struggling with because in her particular place, that is not something that is widely accepted for girls. She is supposed to be married at a very, very young age. If I'm not mistaken, she's 14. But Adunni holds true to her vision with the assistance of another character within the book so that she can obtain her dream of being educated, which I think is really, really beautiful for her to know and understand the significance of an education. Now, in this book, there are some secrets that are going to come to play with one of the characters, Tia. But what happens when someone comes knocking at the door for Adunni? How does Tia, relate with her story in life? Does she continue to protect her? Will she be able to do that? And will Adunni be able to complete her education? I don't know, but once again, the fact that this is a story that is out there, I think it's beautiful. And I also think that it is important to see the persistence of what Adunni wants and how women are building community around her so that she can accomplish her goals and dreams. The next books are going to be, I could not talk about books that are fiction yet political without including these two: Parable of the Sower and also Parable of the Talents by Octavia Butler. I have read Parable of the Sower. You can see I've read her. I have not read Parable of the Talents, and I am going to. But what is important is that this book was actually, made in the past, but it is like post-written towards today, 2024, with a candidate very similar to one who just won the election. So what happens when lawlessness is also occurring in your country at the same time? When I tell you Octavia Butler hit so many things with the nail on the head, like it kind of scared me a little bit as I was reading it, because a lot of the things are completely out of your control. And this is another book where it is important for you to have appropriate community. You really need to be aligning yourself with the right people, not just anybody, as these times continue to change. So yes, I challenge you. Actually, I am demanding you to pick up both of these books and read them ASAP. Next up is going to be Homegoing by Yajasi. This is one of the most incredible books that I have ever read. Like, going from the enslaved time period all the way through segregation and so forth, you get to see how lives are changed within the Black community. And it is incredible to be able to see how the lineage is actually affected. And just powerful this book is. Like, I love reading about Kojo's story, especially his family with the Fugitive Slave Act and so forth. I think it's important to be able to include that within education. But she really did her thing with this, and I actually plan on rereading this. So I will let y'all know whenever I do, because there aren't enough good things to be able to say about how wonderful and how important a book that details the lineage of a family from the past to the present and is so on target with that. Just phenomenal. And for most people, they love this book as well. Next up is going to be Take My Hand by Dolan Perkins Valdez. Now, this book is actually about medical racism, and not just medical racism. For me, this book details what it's like to be a Black woman in the workplace and how to deal with many aspects. Sometimes you are going to be challenged by things, and in those challenges, how do you take a stance when you may be the only person who is willing to do the right thing, or who is willing to challenge the status quota? I could not believe what happened in this book. I literally cried. I cried because it's hard to think that there are people who take on certain jobs and positions that affect every single person in the community, but you don't have the heart or the knowledge or even the capacity to appropriately care for their needs. Instead, you are doing evil deeds to keep them from progressing because of how you personally feel about them. What she did in this book is just phenomenal. And what's even more important is I think that she challenges us to really think about, where do you stand in light of these issues? Like, how would you move in those places? And then finally, I am going to be doing a full review on this book because I recently finished it, The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. This book is set in Nazi France. You know, we talk a lot about Nazi Germany, but this part sometimes can be missed because France was also taken over by Nazi Germany. And I want to read the very first line in this book to you because it shook me. If I have learned anything in this long life of mine, it is this: in love, we find out who we want to be. In war, we find out who we are. Now, I will say that a lot of people think war is just people fighting. No, war is also a battle of ideals. So who are you in these moments? Are you standing on the right side of history? Because history is not kind to people who are on the wrong side. Where will you be? And throughout this book, you got to see so many different people challenged in so many different ways. Isabel was like, she stood on business from the very beginning until, you know, the end of the book. And her character is completely unforgettable. So was Vianne's character. So yeah, be on the lookout for the full review of this book. When I tell you, people were like, oh, you're gonna cry. And I'm like, middle of the book, and I'm like, okay, I'm not crying yet, and I'm a crier. By the time I got to a certain part, when I tell you I just kept the Kleenex near me because the tears were flowing. It really, really challenged me to think about, you know, myself, my ideals, and where I would stand in those moments. And also the fact that women were participating in war in ways that I would have never thought, like carrying airmen through the Pyrenees Mountains. Crazy. So these are some, again, fictional books that I would recommend to you. So per usual, I'm gonna say, let me know if you've read any of them. If you plan on reading any of them, they are phenomenal. And y'all know I don't recommend books that I don't like. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank y'all again for tuning in, and I will see y'all next time. Bye, y'all.